Hi there. So in this vlog, I'm going to be continuing with jealousy and the application and journey from jealousy to self-expression, which means that essentially um, after applying self-honesty in relation to the emotional experience and reaction of jealousy, where I firstly saw and realized that jealousy actually exists inside of myself, regardless of having always believed that I'm some kind of innocent woman, innocent girl in relation to other women, where I like to portray and present this image of myself as someone who is very understanding, someone who just accepts everyone as they are, someone who is always friendly and nice and just wants to be good friends with everyone. But um, if I'm really honest with myself about what goes on in my mind, like the hidden secret chambers of my mind, then I can see that jealousy does exist, and a lot more than I would ever have admitted to myself. So in my last vlog and blog, I've shared the starting point within and of this journey that I'm walking, of transforming the emotional experience of jealousy inside of myself, which was where I had a dream that was extremely vivid and that was basically showing me that and accept exactly how jealousy actually does exist inside of myself, and that I cannot hide this fact from myself any longer, and that it is time for me to actually start becoming honest with myself about who I am inside of myself and start aligning my inside reality to my outside reality, so that I'm not just an external presentation of a good and nice person, but that I'm actually a decent human being inside and out, so that I can look myself in the eyes and actually like accept myself, like for real. That I know that inside and out there is nothing that I'm hiding, there is no secrets, there is nothing that I would or could be ashamed about or guilty or whatever. I know who I am, which is a very valuable thing, a lot more valuable than we would give credit to. I mean, because something that I've noticed for myself is that I've come to accept it as just something normal, like everyday life, just how it is, that I lie to myself about who I am, that I hide things. But what I've realized is that what tends to happen eventually is that there is this nagging feeling in the back of my mind constantly, wherein I just constantly basically feel bad about myself. Like it's just always there, even when I feel good, even when I feel positive, even when I'm enjoying life. Just in the background, it's just always been there. That feeling or awareness that I don't really like myself and I don't really accept myself, because I know what I do. I know when I lie to myself and other people. I know when I'm presenting an image of myself that isn't actually real. I know when I'm smiling on the outside and on the inside there is thoughts going on of "you stupid bitch," stuff like that. You know, I know that stuff is going on inside of myself. So within that awareness, there's just always in the background that kind of horrible feeling that we tend to not even be aware of, because it's just kind of always been there, except for when we were really, really small. So in this second step and application in my journey and process of transforming the emotional experience of jealousy into self-expression, I'm sharing what I'm sharing basically what I applied, wherein I made my transformation more concrete and more substantial for myself, in terms of, I mean, okay, I had that dream, and the dream showed me how jealousy exists inside of myself, and I applied the self-forgiveness, and I applied the self-correction in writing, and I wrote the whole thing out, and yes, I could see and understand how it all works and functions in my mind. But, that is like very abstract, and it's just, it's like insights and realizations. It's kind of like spiritual in a way, because it remains in my spirits, and it's not yet substantial as like a living proof of, this is who I am. So so basically, there was a event that occurred in my everyday reality that gave me the opportunity to substantiate my self-forgiveness process and my realizations and insights, and to bring that kind of internal change through into an external change, and thus an entire change of who I am as a being, or more of a change. And the event was that I was sitting in a car next to my friend, and my friend was texting with her boyfriend. And it's like I was looking at her and I was observing her, and I saw that she was really enjoying herself, and she was like glowing because she had so much fun with her boyfriend. And even when they were together, like I was observing them, and she was just like, I hadn't seen her like that in a long time, or even ever, where she was like expressing that kind of part of herself that just, feels warm and glowing and is just expressive. So in that moment, within myself, I thought, oh, look at her expressing herself, and she looks so beautiful, and she looks so like she's enjoying herself so much, and she looks so lovely. And like, as I was basically complimenting her in my mind, this feeling started creeping up of where I started feeling inferior. And then this thought came up of, well, I don't have that. I don't have what she has, which is the jealousy construct coming up, where first I will observe and look at someone, and I will start to create all these ideas and judgments about them in my mind, and then I will place myself inferior, and then I will go into the experience of lack, because I'm making the constatation that they have something that I don't, and I want that because I want that positive experience that I'm seeing within them. I want to enjoy myself, I want to feel, or I want to be lovely and nice and pretty and beautiful and enjoyable, and I want relationships, and I want to have fun with people, and I want to feel like that, just positive. So in that moment, I'm seeing that all those positive experiences in this other person, and here I am feeling all like inferior, like I'm empty inside, like I don't have all of that. It's almost like I'm looking at a TV screen, and there's these moving pictures with all the beautiful colors and the light shining through, and then there's me in this gray zone, in this gray area, because I'm just kind of looking at the screen, and it's like there's nothing going on with me. I don't in any way feel or have anything to feel positive about, or there's not really anything going on with me wherein I can feel excited about myself. So, okay, I was kind of aware of these experiences coming up inside of myself, but in that moment it was like very subtle, so I wasn't that aware of it. But then after a while, what happened was that I started getting annoyed. I started getting angry at my friend. This experience of annoyance came up inside of myself while I was looking at her, because she was just, texting, twiddling with her phone, and laughing at, whatever her boyfriend was saying through the texting. And suddenly, it's like I started noticing these little expressions of her where she was like kind of flashing her phone around, or she was just like the little movements that she was making, or like someone asked her a question and she didn't immediately hear the question because she was busy with her phone. And I started getting annoyed with that. And thoughts came up in my back chat of like, oh, she's unaware of her surroundings and she's being too preoccupied by her phone and she doesn't even notice when somebody's asking her a question. And like, I was actually getting annoyed with that. And so here is where I went, okay, so this is a problematic situation. I mean, I'm getting angry at someone for no reason. Like, literally, one moment to the next, I'm getting angry and annoyed. And I don't even, I mean, when I look at why, there's not even really a reason. It's like I'm getting annoyed and angry with these little tiny movements and expressions. And just a moment ago, I was fine. So this to me indicated that there's more going on in my mind, that there have been reactions going on in my mind that I was not aware of and that I did not stop and that I did not direct. And so here I am now actually reacting to my own reactions with anger and now exerting it onto someone else because I was not aware enough of myself to be honest with myself about what's going on inside of myself and to stop myself within my own reactions, because you know that is how the mind works. It's like we end up reacting to our own reactions. Like we go into inferiority towards someone because of how we think about them, and then we go and react to that inferiority with anger, with, you know, annoyance, with judgment, with hate, you know, and to that hate we then react with guilt and shame, and then we go and react in all sorts of other ways, and eventually it's like we get mixed up into all these emotional reactions and we kind of just lose ourselves within all of it and end up using our environment and the people around us as our projectiles, as the ones that we project all these emotional experiences to and towards, which is not cool because it's got nothing to do with them. So in that moment where I realized that I'm getting angry at this person next to me, that's where I started applying myself within self-forgiveness, and up until the point where the anger was released and I could see how I created the anger, you know, what I'd been participating within, I could see that it started with me creating ideas in my mind about her and reacting to those ideas with inferiority. It started with me feeling less than my friend, you know, and from the experience of feeling less than, I then go and react with anger because now I want to feel something inside of myself. I want to like rev up my own power, and I want to feel somehow alive or in control or powerful or expressive. So I do that through becoming annoyed, through generating these thoughts in my head of, you know, ugh, what's she doing now? And oh, just look at her. And God, doesn't she know that she's supposed to pay attention to the people around her? And stuff like that. I mean, that was the dynamic that was going on in my mind. And through self-forgiveness, through applying self-forgiveness in that moment, I not only released the anger, but simultaneously the experience of inferiority. And what within that is also important when you're applying self-forgiveness on a emotional reaction is to, I mean, you'll feel it within yourself, is that while you're applying the self-forgiveness, there will be, it's like you can feel the emotional experience release as you're applying your self-forgiveness. And it's like you have to find that point of realization where you can see what you're creating and you can see that you are solely responsible for what you're experiencing inside of yourself. It's like I could see, like, I'm just getting angry with her because I placed myself inferior towards her in the first place. And I mean, not only that, but then when I asked myself the question of, well, why did I place myself as inferior towards her in the first place? Why did I go and create those ideas about her and her life in the first place? You know, I could see an interesting thing, which is the whole starting point of why I go into jealousy, why the construct of jealousy exists inside of myself, which is that actually, well, if I have a look at what I'm really doing in my mind, it's like I'm kind of distracting myself from looking at my own life by looking at the lives of others. It's like I'm observing someone else, I'm observing someone else expressing themselves, enjoying life, and doing things, and I go and react emotionally to that, so that actually I don't have to look at my own life. I don't have to live my own life. I don't have to find my own self-enjoyment and create my own self-enjoyment, because the reality is that I don't really want to do that. I don't particularly want to or feel like taking that responsibility for myself and my own life, because, you know, I have all these hidden insecurities inside of myself that I haven't dealt with. I have all these fears in relation to, for instance, you know, the future, in relation to failure and making decisions that I have not dealt with for myself. So now I go and choose to distract myself from those fears and insecurities by placing my focus and attention on someone else and how someone else is living their life, so that I don't have to be faced with all those fears and insecurities that still exist inside of myself. And, you know, the moment that I realized that point, that, you know, all I'm doing at this moment is distracting myself, that's where it all started, is that I was kind of just drifting away from being aware of my own life and myself in that moment by looking at my friend and going to like an observer mode, going into a looking at her and observing her, wherein I'm just kind of looking at a TV screen. It's like entertainment, you know, that's what it is. It's exactly like looking at a TV screen. It's exactly like looking at a movie, watching a movie. It's like you're entertaining yourself. You're distracting yourself from reality and from yourself in that moment. You're just entertaining and preoccupying yourself with images and pictures and lights in your mind, so that you don't have to look at reality that's right here around you, at your own life, so you don't have to worry about your own future, about decisions, so you can for a moment just let everything go and pretend that you don't have a life, or pretend that you don't have to make decisions, or you don't have to face anything. You know, you can just watch how somebody else is living their life and then react to that, which is what I was doing. So the moment that I realized that, you know, it's like I immediately understood that, you know, this is not cool. I mean, this is not acceptable. I don't accept myself doing this. You know, I am making that decision for myself that, you know, this is not who I really want to be. You know, I commit myself to take responsibility for myself and not allow myself to participate in bullshit like that, like deliberately distracting myself by reacting emotionally to someone else and blaming them basically for how I'm reacting, when actually what I'm doing is just, you know, trying to get away from my own life. I mean, that is not who I want to be. That's not the kind of person who I want to be. So, you know, in that moment, I then, to stabilize myself and ground myself and make that decision for myself and like bring myself back to just here myself, I just stated a few self-commitment and self-corrective statements in that moment, like, you know, I don't accept and allow myself to go into this emotional experience of jealousy and to distract myself from my own life and fears and insecurities, because I commit myself to face my fears and insecurities and not abuse and use other people as my entertainment just so that I could distract myself from dealing with my own emotional experiences inside of myself. You know, for instance, I mean, I have all the self-forgiveness statements and the self-commitment statements that I spoke in that moment within myself. I've written it all out in my blog, which you can go and read. And I'm sharing all of this here in vlogging and blogging because, you know, I mean, jealousy is an emotional experience that many women and or men deal with. And it's a very common thing. And I mean, having realized that jealousy is actually more of a reality inside of myself than I ever realized, I'm sure that, you know, many people can relate to and recognize what I'm sharing here. And so, you know, this journey is for everyone who is interested in changing themselves for the better, you know, changing yourself into a person that you can respect, a person that you can embrace and accept, and that you can look into your own eyes and, you know, recognize that you are a real, genuine, self-honest person that you can trust and that you can love, basically. So that concludes the second step in this process. And you know, with each step that you take, you more and more substantiate that decision in yourself and that standing within yourself where you know who you are and you will not allow these emotional experiences to decide who you are, which is a very valuable gift that you can give to yourself. Okay, thank you very much and enjoy.